ca. Joining us now is Erol Morkoc, Vice Chair of External Relations for Republicans Overseas. And also joining me is Jennifer Phillips, Chair of Democrats Abroad, British Columbia Mainland. Good afternoon to both of you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Hello.
Hi. So today's the big day with polls showing the Democrats and the Republicans in a very, very tight race for the presidency. Errol, how are you feeling about former President Donald Trump's chances in the election?
Oh, very positive, very positive. I mean, you have to keep in mind, the country has been run by Democrats for the majority of my life. And if you now include Dick Cheney as part of the Democrat Party, 20 of the last 24 years have been in their court. So the pressure is really off of us. We've overperformed in early voting. We've overperformed in low propensity voters. We've overperformed in rural voters, Hispanic voters. And, a lot of the data is showing that we have a good pathway to the 270. And I personally think that we're going to get what's looked at as a narrow landslide where we win by half a point in many of these swing states and carry a commanding electoral college victory.
And how is the overseas vote for the Republicans?
Oh, for sure for the Democrats. Breaks Democrat probably 70-30
Okay.
for various reasons. But Donald Trump is the only person for people overseas, by the way. He wants to end the double taxation, which is what a lot of Americans abroad are hit with. And so that is a positive thing that maybe garnered him some support. But it is generally a Democrat base voting abroad.
All right. Jennifer, how is it looking for Kamala Harris? What types of questions are you being asked by Americans living in Canada?
I think it's looking really great for Kamala Harris, at least in Canada and abroad. As Errol mentioned, we're seeing just unprecedented turnout for volunteerism and interest in helping get out the vote. We know that there's a large opportunity gap to ensure that every American living abroad knows that they can vote, they can do it legally and easily. So we're but looking forward to the evening, and I think it's looking pretty good for Kamala Harris.
Okay. And Errol, what are the big issues for Republicans?
The top two issues are going to be economy and immigration. And economy is really an energy discussion. It's all about the energy. When you buy an apple, that apple is the product of the cost of transportation, harvesting, refrigeration. Most people, 9 out of 10 Americans, do not hold a significant amount of stocks. So when you see stock market gains, that's only for the very rich. The majority of people see their uplift at the gas pump or in the grocery store. That's where they get their value. And that's not being condescending. That's the real fact for many Americans. And the cost of fuel and the cost of food corresponding to that has led to a lot of tough times for Americans. So that message, coupled with the, Trump border policy, which is, ending the illegal immigration that affects the most vulnerable workers in America. Obviously, we want to have immigrants. We want to double the amount of visas for legal immigrants, but we're going to have to do a very large deportation plan, and nobody's happy about that. But the last regime let 15 to 20 million illegal people into this country, and it's caused a huge economic problem as well as a social problem. And that's something that Donald Trump and the Republicans are very keen to attack.
And Jennifer, what are the big issues for Democrats right now?
Sure. I just wanted to talk about the economy a little bit. VP Harris is going to enter the office, the Oval Office, with a to-do list and priorities, and one of those is enacting the first ever federal ban on price gouging and on groceries and capping the price of insulin and prescription drugs for all Americans. So that's definitely on people's minds. What happens back in the U.S. also impacts U.S. Citizens abroad and Medicare coverage and things like that. So I think reproductive rights are certainly top of mind for people. Taxation and tariffs, we know that those impact people back home and abroad. I'd say probably reproductive rights are top of list. The economy is as well as just fundamental human rights.
And Jennifer, as you mentioned, the reproductive rights, we know that U.S. is incredibly diverse, but is there a real gender divide at play in this election? Not just because the candidate is a male and a female, but also we have a very female-centric issue taking center stage in many conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think we're probably going to see the most record turnout for women in the U.S. and abroad. in the history of America, we're seeing record turnouts of women, and a lot of Republican women are really taking this chance to say, we're not going back, right? Like, one candidate is very much looking forward and unifying our country and ensuring that our rights are sustained, and one is looking in the past and going to take us back at least 50 years, and already has, right? So Donald Trump has made it very clear that he wants to enact a federal ban on abortion and things like contraception. And what it comes down to is that women want the right to make decisions about their own body, and we don't want to have our to have less rights now than we did 40 years ago, right?
Right. And Errol, how do you feel about such a gender specific issue being such a huge factor for many voters?
Well, I would touch back on the fact that Donald Trump doesn't support a national abortion ban, and I think it's important to realize that
But he
because
has said he feels should be some form of punishment for seeking an abortion.
No, you're taking that out of context. Let's look at the facts for a second. So if Donald Trump, with the not Donald Trump actually, Supreme Court sent it back to the states. So Donald Trump actually can't make a federal abortion ban because the states now have the control. Donald Trump is an old school Democrat. He was a registered Democrat till 2008. He wants a very European system, 12 weeks, life of the mother, incest, rape, special circumstances. So the idea to castigate the entire Republican Party to want a national abortion ban, I don't know a single Republican voter who wants that. And the far right Christian voters do not make up the block of this country. And I want to step back also. You mentioned price gouging on groceries. It's a 1.6% national margin on groceries. You can't do price fixing to fix price gouging. But to get back to the abortion issue and the women's rights issue, it's also a right for married women, and married women are breaking 50-50. And for the first time ever, you're having an actual male voting block. If you wonder the last 20 years, there's never been a male vote. Nobody ever talks about the male vote. It's because the male vote's split, basically 50-50, 42, 50, 48, 52, this and this. This is the first time the male vote will be a 60-40 block, just like the female vote. So now there's a male voting block. But I want to tell the listeners, we are not here to take a federal abortion ban. That is not the policy of Donald Trump, and that is not a policy that any of us would support.
Jennifer, how do you think the election results will impact people here in Canada if Trump wins or if Harris wins? What are the two scenarios we're looking at?
Well, we know what happens in the U.S. impacts just about everywhere, right? So this election will be felt worldwide, and in order to promote domestic and global stability, we really need competent leaders at every level of government and in the State Department, not MAGA loyalists. We have to be well equipped to address issues at home that really do have broader implications. And Project 2025 threatens to dismantle civil service and to replace really experienced professionals who have spent their careers in service of American interests with MAGA loyalists, risking that stability and expertise in key roles. And we're already seeing impacts of Donald Trump's presidency in real time, and going back to women's rights and reproductive rights. I'm from Texas, so this is a very sensitive issue for me specifically. I'm one of those states that has the ban, and we've seen female mortality rates nearly double, I believe, since all of this kind of went down. So, and I do believe it's a completely false narrative that Donald Trump does not want a national abortion ban. But we do know that Kamala Harris has repeatedly come to bat for women and reproductive rights, and said she will restore reproductive freedom and after Trump overturned Roe v. Wade.
All right. And Errol, how do you see either a Trump or Harris win impacting people here in Canada?
Well, I think when Trump, if Trump is to win, you have to realize that the biggest thing is for you guys and us is the USMCA, right? And there's a renegotiation clause in the USMCA after, I believe it was 6 years, which would be into Trump's second term. And so I think you would have a financial impact regarding the policies that are laid out there, whether that affects tariffs that the Canadian producers Canadians have put on American dairy, for example. That was a hot button issue.
Mhm.
Or whether it's tariffs on American products going back and forth. Canada has had the great fortune for many years to be under the US nuclear umbrella. So it has gotten very many favorable trade deals with the US by being probably our greatest ally, you could imagine. And in doing so, a lot of American companies perhaps have felt that they were got on the wrong side of things. And that's what USMCA did. And that's what a renegotiation, that's probably where the Canadian economy, Canadian everyday working man and woman will see an impact of this presidency. Right now, I think Donald Trump is very open to bilateral trade. And in North America, we're a juggernaut. The trade between the US and Mexico is a world record. We'd like to get Canada up to that level and become a North American powerhouse.
All right. Before I let you both go, Errol, how are you spending election night? What are your plans?
Well, I'm just here, dodging raindrops between all the media appearances, but certainly going to stop and have a pint with a couple of friends at least at the end of the night, regardless of how it goes.
All right. And Jennifer, how about you?
I'm just about to head over to our official watch party in Vancouver. We have about 10 locations across BC and over 500 RSVPs. People are very excited to come together in community and unity and joy. So tonight's looking to be a great night. We have a DJ. We've got good vibes. It's going to be a pretty wonderful evening. But
All
also
right.
press all night. Yeah.
I can imagine. Thank you both for taking time with us today. I know it has been a busy one, so take care, and I'm sure we'll touch base with you after we know the results.
Thank you so much.
That was Erol Morkoc, Vice Chair of External Relations for Republicans Overseas, and Jennifer Phillips, Chair of Democrats Abroad, British Columbia mainland.